All right, people, so we're back on Breaking Dawn. We're just about 17 minutes away from the hour of 7 o'clock, and we have a call-in interview now with Dennis T. of TT Game Plan. He's with me via the phone line. Now, Dennis is going to speak on the incident that happened to the cyclist Collin Wilson, now deceased after an incident at an event at Skinner Park over the Easter weekend. So we want to bring him in on the phone line. Hello, good morning, Dennis.
Hey, morning, Stephan. Good morning to all your listeners.
Nice, man. Dennis, just for clarity, could you just give us a little insight or a little history into your knowledge in terms of cycling?
First of all, I've been a cycling fan since the mid-80s. I started following cycling in about 1984, and that year Nelsonville came down to Trinidad. He was the American sprint champion, was a Pan-Am sprint champion. He came down to Trinidad and he rode in the Remote Grand Prix. At the same time, I just became a cycling fan, and I attended. The only thing that stopped me from attending Remote Grand Prix during the 80s and 90s was when I left to go on work on a cruise ship. I've been an avid cyclist, a promoter. I work with a club for maybe the past 7 years.
Right.
Just before the COVID pandemic. I ride bikes myself. I only recently sold my bike after I had to I faced some financial difficulties, let's put it this way. I said, you know what, that bike's standing up there, I ain't riding for a while. But people ask me about some of the comments I'm gonna tell you, right? Where's his engineering degree? What is making him speak on this?
Right.
Listen, my credentials in this are irrelevant. Irrelevant. Stevie Wonder could have seen that happen. And you would ask Stevie for the credentials. The bottom line is this, right? The people who should know are silent. The people who have all of the palmares and all of the world medals and the championship medals, aside from Gene and aside from a couple other people, they've been silent. You know why? They don't want to get blacklisted.
Right.
You can't take away money from me that you don't give me.
Right.
So I'm putting that right here. Right? This is not about money for me. This is not about anything. Most of the over 1 million photographs that I would have taken, right? I have 24 terabytes of photos and videos on mainly Trinidad and Tobago sports. I've been doing this, I've been on your show, I've been a co-host on your show. I've been doing this since 1996.
Yeah.
So when people ask me about what, you can ask me, ask that question. Just don't worry about how a man should bust so on a track. When you leave home to go and ride in a master's event with your partner, who's also my very good friend. Right?
Right.
Talk about that.
No, well.
And don't worry about what certificates I have on my wall. But anyhow, go ahead.
Yeah, I spoke to several cyclists called me over the weekend, and in talking to me, I said, listen, who you recommend anybody for an interview? And all of them say, talk to Dennis Day. So I say, okay, no problem. And I know you're a man in the sports for many, many years, in terms of coverage and participation, and like you said, promotion and things like that. And, I look at the incident, and I mean, anybody with common sense is supposed to ask certain questions here. If a rider, a cyclist, according to the information, he was trying to avoid a fallen rider, right? That's the information I got in the article.
That's not really what happened.
But that's not really what happened. What is it that happened?
Okay, so the race was a six lap race. I did the first or second lap, right? I just kept so.
Right.
He was riding. The guy in the front of the race was like a donkey kick. His back wheel flicked up high. The guy was in the front, on the bottom, on the inside of the track. Right? on your left side, the outside is always on your right side.
Right.
That's how the direction of travel is. Anywhere you're going to go.
Right.
So this guy down in the bottom on the right side, left side, and he does a donkey kick. These bikes have no brakes. So everybody see that and they think, oh, he going to fall, so let me drift to avoid that. Right? So everybody just to the left. The guys in the back, right, who are now trying to catch up, they drifted. But because of the way the track is designed, when you go to Arima Velodrome, the track is designed properly. When you go to the Kuva, track is designed properly. Even the recreational track down in Siparia, even that track is not as badly designed. I wasn't raised there, but that's me. But this track, when you drift to the left or you're going outside, sorry, to the right, and you're going outside, there is nothing to keep you down, which is what a track design is supposed to do.
Okay.
So the guys in the back drifted out, and they kept going and they kept drifting further towards the fence. So this guy, I'm not going to call his name, I'm not going to call his club, because it has nothing to do with him. Right?
Right.
Collin was going outside because he was going a little faster than this guy, and he was going outside. So instead of slowing down, he just drifted outside. And the guy just kept going because there was nothing to stop him from going.
Right.
So everybody saying he pushed him into the side. He said, no, the track was supposed to keep him down, but instead it kept sliding him out. It's like if you're spinning a ball on a plate, Stephan, right? Versus if you're spinning it on a ball, if you're spinning it on the ball, the sides of the ball will keep the ball inside. But spin it on a plate, the ball will just fly off to the side. So that's what happened. And unfortunately, Collin got hooked up on a section of the fence that, and I don't want to say things that would be used as, how to put it, evidence. Because I wasn't there. What I heard is he got hooked up on a fence. It is alleged that he got hooked up on a section of fence that was not properly secured.
Right.
Now, I never ride a bike on a track. But you know what I've done a million times? Is open a fence on a track, open the gate on a track to jump in and out. As a photographer, I've done that on every track that I've ever been to.
Right.
And they are designed in a particular way so that when you hit that, remember, Collin's a big guy, about 200 pounds, hit that there going 50, 60 kilometers per hour. Some of you all don't even drive that speed on the highway. This guy hits that fence, and it is alleged that the fence, part of the fence broke, and I'm being honest with you guys, on plain raw, his throat was ripped out. That's just what happened.
Right.
His throat, right? Imagine you are performing at about 100, let's say about 170. You were not full gas yet. But your heart is 170 beats a minute. Most of your eye watch would have been beaten out. Like, okay, go on there. But this is where we are, right? Your heart rate is high, your blood is pumping, right? Your blood pressure is high because most of your work is done in your legs. So that your heart is pushing that blood down to your legs. Yeah. Right? When you have any kind of heart or anything like that, in that kind of circumstances, it's like you're busting a fire hose, it's just going to start spraying. And not respect to the EMS crew, they were on the opposite side of the velodrome. They were on the other side. So you imagine goal post to goal post, they run with a gurney, catch up to Collin, and they managed to keep my homeboy alive. But I believe it is over 37 minutes. Right. To get first care, and then for him to get to the hospital when he died in hospital. So these are, of course, it is alleged, right? I don't have the information. I was not part of that team, but from what I have seen and what on the video and what I have been told from people who were there, listen, there are people who were right there right in front of him. And they messaged me like, yo, Mr. Dennis, I can't sleep. This thing happened right in front of me. You know what I mean? His wife watching on TV, bro. Yeah. His wife watching this on YouTube. See that? And you know, when we saw the video, we over in Grenada for Curved Games. Right? Me and Kwame Lawrence, another journalist.
Yeah.
We sitting down there. I had just come back from Friday training. Right? So they had the kids had their warm-ups and stuff, and our training session was the last one. Kwame has to write his story. I got no phone. My phone dead. By the time I get back to the hotel room, bro, I in a chat with over 500 mainly Trinidad cyclists. Right?
Right.
The 868 cycling community chat. And I see my next project, who's also, his name is also Collin Wilson. Collin, who is a cyclist, who is certified in everything, and who rides bike all over the world. He said, Mr. Dick, condolences going out to Collin Wilson. I'm like, what? So immediately I was like, Collin, what's this? What's this about? What's this about? He sends me the video and photos, man. We started crying. When you see that, and he took the call and he tried to explain what happened, man.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And let me ask you.
21 seconds, bro, for the camera to go around. These guys, and all in here is the announcer. Stop your race. By the time we got back to where Collin was on the ground, there was a channel of blood on the track, bro.
Huh.
21 seconds. 21 seconds.
So let me ask you something now. Obviously there are questions to be raised about safety concerns and safety officers and the inspections and who passed it and things like that, right? What I find particularly disturbing is that this happened over the Easter weekend, and the federation, the cycling federation, to my knowledge, I do not know if in your circle you have seen a release of any kind.
They had a release.
They had a release.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I did not, but I haven't seen that release. But what is their position on this? Like, who approved this? And is it somebody told me that after the incident happened, they carried on with the other days of the event?
Well, okay, so this is where I don't understand what is happening, right? So Easter Grand Prix was rolled into several different events. It was the Caribbean Championships. It was all of these kinds of things together. There's a list of, I think it was the start of America's Track Racing League, right? I don't have the names of all of these events, so I can't tell you. But the first day is not at a track, in my opinion. Once again, this is my opinion, where an event of that class, of that nature, should be taking place. I believe the rest of the event was a UCI Class 2 event.
Okay.
So it has to be on a certified track, right? Which, in my opinion, once again, this is my opinion, which I find it difficult to understand how Skinner Park could meet the requirements of such an event.
Right.
Right? So I don't know how they ended up there on a Friday, but I have my own theories, which date back to a meeting that I would have had with the current president when she got into her first term as president. I was on the marketing committee then, and I was saying, listen, I've been down at that venue. That is before the rail was put up, right? I said, in my opinion, that track is a death trap. I said that to the marketing committee.
Right.
Rowena Williams, president, TTCA, Trinidad Tobago Cycling Federation president, was the chair of that meeting, because the person who was supposed to chair that, the vice president, she didn't want the job. And I said, no, I'm not the chair of this meeting. I am not being your marketing person, right? But I volunteered my services, and my advice was, do not go there. And Rowena and her, then she said, well, we're getting money from the Bar Corporation, and we're going. So the matter is closed. So yes, we will be racing. I said, well, I'm not taking photos. I'm not coming to that event. I'm not sharing anything. And I was supposed to be streaming. I said, we're not streaming. Well, we can find somebody else. And that was the end of the conversation.
Right.
And I think that would have been 2023. I have to check the dates once again. But that was that meeting. So that first year, it didn't come off. And then the following year, it went off with the same circumstances, same venue. And a friend of mine, not a personal friend, but someone in the cycling fraternity, a Jamaican guy, his son hit the fence and ripped his knee open, right? Damaged his knee and never rode a bike again, never got back to where he was. He was a promising cyclist, right? A really nice young sprinter. Never ride again, right?
Wow.
So what I'm telling people is this. They knew the racing committee, if you worry about what my palmares are and what my qualifications are as a cyclist, start asking questions of the racing committee. They're made up of the coaches, the clubs, the club managers, and they're supposed to know that racing committee is in the name, right?
Yeah.
Let the racing committee come and answer the question, why did you all choose that thing? Ask Rowena Williams. Ask the rest of this cycling federation executive, why you all went there? Why you all bring people to Trinidad? And we have Arima, we have
What happened to the cycling? What happened to the...
spend so much money on? Why you carrying people down in Skinner Park? Why? What was the reason? Just ask that.
Yeah, because people were asking me what happened to the cycling center in is
Right.
Kuva?
So the second and the third day were at Kufa. And if I'm not mistaken, they are a UCI class 2 event, which included, which gives you points for qualification for everything. So you get general points, right? These qualification points are very necessary. Remember the other day had a big umbrella go with the federation and some cyclists, they went to court by injunction to tell them, hey, we don't have to come to all your little rinky-dink trials because it don't make any sense for us to ride bike that soon before Panams, right?
Right.
That case, I mean, I'm not trying to question the judgment of any court in Trinidad and Tobago, but I am saying that I think we need to have a specialist court for arbitration of sports here in the Caribbean, because I don't think the magistrates court or the high court understand the little nuances that make a determination, and I also don't think that the court time frame is responsive and agile enough to deal with these issues. But that's a different conversation.
All right.
So the Saturday and Sunday took place at the National Cycling Center in Cuba, which is, in my opinion, to abandon the entire meet because of what happened. I don't think even Collin would have thought that would have been a great idea.
Okay.
Most of cycling is self-funded. These people would have come here for an event that had nothing to do with what took place on Friday. I don't see how Friday's event had anything to do with getting points. I think it was just like another circus sideshow for the main event. That's just my opinion. Arima Velodrome was the natural home of cycling for many, many decades.
Right.
That's there in Barcara Park. Barcara Park was a grass track where you would have had national champions and all these European countries coming in, world champions, Olympic champions racing here. It was an experience.
Okay.
And I don't remember anybody flying and dying down in Barcara Park. And
Right.
Barcara Park was a grass track, very slippery. But you knew what it was, but it was well designed.
Right.
But anyhow, the Saturday and Sunday event, in my opinion, should not have been affected by what happened on Friday.
Okay.
Even if someone died. It's completely separate things. But they did cancel the rest of the Friday evening event.
Okay. All right. Well, Dennis, I'm just about out of time. But any final things that you want to say in terms of well, I guess sports on the whole, in this case cycling, but I know you cover all sports as well. You know, I mean, I think we have a lot of work to do where sports is concerned. One, engaging the youths and get them involved in it. Two, facilities for training and for gameplay. You know what I mean? What are your thoughts on all of that as you close?
Just for a quick picture, safety is paramount. Whether it's youth sport, recreational sport, safety protocols have to be observed. We have to question everything. If you don't want to talk, no problem. Let me do the talking. There can't hate me more than these people hate me. And I don't use the word like an hateration. I talk about hate, like, don't even talk to you anymore. Second one, and they don't even respond anymore. And that's fine. But I will never be silent. So this idea, let's have a moment of silence for Collin Wilson. No, let's have a moment of rebellion. Let's have a moment of anger. Because injustice can live alongside peace. Right? So if you believe that there was injustice, talk out. And if you don't want to talk out, send me a message. I will say it word for word for you. Right? We cannot let this die like that.
No.
We have to have accountability. I want to see a proper police investigation. I want to hear a proper accounting of everything that was done in terms of safety protocols, in terms of the response that we got on the track, and in terms of why we there anyhow. And let that be the last event racing at any of these little community recreational facilities. Right? That is for sports day, not for bringing international events, not for bringing top quality national team riders. That's not for that. We build a velodrome, we spend our taxpayer money on that, and it is a good track. Let's race there. Let's bring the world there. So let's not get this thing. And somebody has to fall on their sword.
Yeah.
The Cycling Federation, the entire executive needs to resign. The entire racing committee needs to resign. The people who allowed this to happen and funded it need to stand up and say why they did that, or resign, or both. The UCI, if the UCI knew that they were piggybacking that event to a class 2 event, then whoever stamped that approval, they need to resign too. And my name is Dennis Allen. And if you want to sue me, go right ahead. Right? But I have nothing. I have no money, I have no house, I have no car. This pair of jockey shorts is from Ratan. So if you want to come at me, understand that you're just coming at me to prove your point. Right? So let's go to court, let's explore every inch of detail. Because the truth will stand up. And if you feel like I'll stand up in court alone, I have very nice friends who have not just Bush law degree, road degree. So let's go.
All right.
Hey, Stephan, my brother.
Yeah, man.
That's the moment, and I represented, there are over, in my opinion, based on the data that we've tracked, there are over 1,700 cyclists who ride a bike every day. Right?
Right.
When we go out there, acceptable risk is some madman driving and lift it off. That's acceptable risk. Acceptable risk can happen at your risk. You might hit something and you fly away back and you smash your face into the concrete. Yeah, sure. What happened with Collin Wilson, remember that name, folks, was not acceptable risk.
Right.
It was not a freak accident. If someone told you, if people told you, that's exactly what would happen if somebody got drifted into the fence. That's exactly what I said in 2023. So, it's not a freak accident. Thank you for the opportunity to speak, bro, man.
No problem, man. Take it easy, we'll talk. Yep.
Yeah, man, anytime.
All right.
Take it easy.
That's Dennis Tay on the inside there. Dennis has been on the program already. He and Chris Gill, morning to Chris. That situation took place there, that should have never happened. I tell you, a lot of cyclists. I've been getting calls from cyclists saying, Stephan, that track is not for that. That should have never taken place there. And they are raising a lot of questions as it relates to the federation and certain decisions that were made as it relates to having that event there. I mean, we have the cycling center, like Dennis just said, that is designed for this. So a man lost his life when he didn't need to lose his life. And like what Dennis is saying, back in 2023, told them, this is going to happen. You understand? So some things to think about as we move forward. We got to go to a break. As we go to the break, we have Angel and Amoy with the Autistic Society.